These two middle-aged American women seem to be regarded as a threat to national security.
We went to the airport with a little bit of extra time, as one always does, and got up to the counter, handed in our identification. The woman behind the counter tapped in our names. She got a funny look on her face and she said, "There's something wrong with my computer. I have to call my boss." And she went and made a phone call.
We stood out in the middle of the airport and she came over and said, "I have to stay with you because I've called the police. You're on the FBI no-fly list."
And she said, "I can't imagine why this would be happening to you." And we looked at each other and we thought about the 1,000 copies of War Times that we had in our suitcases. And we said,
Maybe.
We said, well, it might have to do with the fact that we publish an anti-war newspaper. And she said, oh, and her eyes got really big. So then the police came. 3 uniformed, armed members of the San Francisco police, and they stood around, basically surrounded us and our luggage in the middle of the airport and radioed in our names to headquarters. And they said, "We have to see if you're on the master list."
Master list?
Okay. Well, about 20 minutes later.
It took about 20 minutes, and they came back, "You're not on the master list. So we're going to have to search you," and they marked up our boarding pass.
With a big red S.
With a big red S, and we had special search for the luggage, and it got run through the bomb stuff.
At the time, the list was secret, but it was recently leaked to the media and contained a number of very bizarre names. Even Senator Edward Kennedy has found himself being stopped at airports. As political activists, Jan and Rebecca, along with the American Civil Liberties Union, took the government to court.
You know, in the end, what happened was the judge did award court costs to the American Civil Liberties Union. And
So you had a victory of sorts.
We had a victory.
We had a victory of some nature.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they didn't make the ACLU bear the cost of the case.
Was there any apology made to you?
Oh,
No.
no, I don't think that this administration is
They don't
sorry.
apologize.
They don't apologize for anything. They're certainly not going to apologize to us.
But despite the fightbacks of the civil liberties movement, it is an unequal contest. They are up against the full force of a determined and well-resourced government. Data mining and no-fly lists are already part of life in America. But what about tomorrow? What surveillance technologies await us in the future? Supermarkets like this one in San Francisco are home to a new breed of 21st century tracking device. RFID, or radio frequency identification chips, are tiny transmitters that can be attached to almost any product and scanned at a distance. Essentially, they're 21st century barcodes. When triggered, they transmit a unique code which can be received up to 10 meters away. They are being used by stores like Walmart as a way to track products around the world. RFID allows the company to know when a product is in the warehouse and when it is bought by a customer and taken home. In theory, you can even track the object after you've bought it. But yet again, I can see these seemingly harmless technologies that are supposed to make life more efficient becoming subject to the laws of function creep. An American company called Verichip has taken this same RFID technology and is implanting the chip in humans. Technology that was brought in to track your Gillette razor can now be used to track and identify humans, and that's about to include me. So just tell me about this microchip you're going to inject into my arm.
Yes, it's a first and only FDA-approved microchip to implant in humans.
Yes.
It uses RFID, radio frequency identification technology.
Yeah.
But the real purpose of this is it's a link to your personal and medical information on a secure website. So in a case of an emergency, if you were confused comatose or otherwise unable to communicate and presented to an emergency room, they would be able to scan you and pick up a unique 16-digit number, which is the only thing that's on this microchip,
Yes.
and be able through that to access your medical record.
And what's the red bit?
The red is actually the antenna,
Yeah, huh?
and if you look right back here, there's a very small microchip, and that's actually has the 16-digit number. If you ever decided to have it removed, it can be removed. It's a simple procedure
Yeah.
to remove it.
It's like my barcode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're ready,
Yeah,
ready.
I'm ready.
Just relax your
Now, does
arm
this
like
hurt?
this. It should not hurt at all. Okay, just relax.
Mm-hmm.
We are all done. I'm just going to now just double check and make sure it's working before I let you out of here. And you heard the beep.
Yes,
And
I recognise the
that's
last
the
few
same
digits.
number
Yes, well, I
that
don't
we put
recognise
in.
the whole number, but the last 4 digits are right. Yes.
Right, and that's the same number that we have on here, which is the same number
Yes.
that we put in.
So that's me.
That's you now. Here actually corresponds to this number. 'Cause this number I'm
VeriChip has huge ambitions for their product, which was originally designed to tag pets. The CEO of VeriChip recently promoted the idea that all migrant workers be chipped, and it has also been suggested that the entire US military receive implants. VeriChips have already been implanted in several patients with degenerative brain conditions such as Alzheimer's, so they can be identified in a medical emergency. But the VeriChip is old technology. The new generation of RFID chips will do much more than just transmit a code. Many states in America are considering putting them in driving licenses. They will be able to transmit all your personal details when they come within range of an RFID reader. The scheme is aimed at making the license harder to forge and more convenient for the police. Li Tian works for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, an organization promoting personal privacy in the digital age.
These IDs are not just trackable in the sense that they have a unique ID number. They will broadcast your name, your date of birth, your country of nationality, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're a parent and you have children who are about to carry a driver's license, what do you want strangers to be able to know? I've got a daughter, she's 15. In a year, she's going to have a driver's license. Do I want her to be carrying a driver's license to broadcast her name, her dress, height, weight, eye color, to anyone who's got a compatible reader? I don't think so. So one of the major issues that we've got is trying to keep personal information off of RFID cards and making sure that people really do understand that there's a significant risk associated with that.
People's faith in this one tiny piece of technology, the RFID chip, is amazing. And it's not just being used here in America. The application of RFID is expanding rapidly, and it is already being used in the United Kingdom. All new British passports are already being issued with RFID chips. The forthcoming ID card will also contain similar technology. But are the technologies themselves secure? Back home, I'm due for an encounter with someone who is convinced he can prove they are anything but. We are constantly told that modern surveillance technologies are for our own safety, that CCTV protects us from crime, and that the new RFID passports will help fight terrorism. Many of you may still think they're a good thing, but have politicians overestimated the security of the technologies themselves?